Hi everybody, welcome to Tea with Phil and Jen. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are dedicated to bringing you accurate information about tasting grade Chinese tea. We basically want to make sure that you end up with the best possible tea in your tea collection.
That's right. And we're super excited now for an event coming up in Philadelphia on December the 1st. We will be exploring the world of Chinese tea. This is actually the very first Talking Tea live event.
Super excited.
That's right. And we will be tasting 6 different teas from each category, talk about those tea types a bit, and telling you how do you know the quality of tea when purchasing tea. And you can watch us do Kung Fu style brewing live.
That's right.
So if you are a tea lover or you are a taster, join us. And if you've never heard of Talking Tea,
Whoa, if you've never heard of Talking Tea, you got to check out the links we put down below. Ken Cohen has been, he's one of the original podcasters. He's got a great podcast dedicated to tea and tea culture. You got to check that out down below. Your commute to work or sitting at your desk all day will never be the same. Throw him on. You're going to learn tons about tea.
So today we're going to do some tastings with the different pu'er and explain a little bit about how we do the write-up for our website and how do we pick the tasting notes and
what exactly do those tasting notes mean. So let's get brewing.
let's do it. So the first tea we're going to taste today is a Sheng Pu'er from 2016. This is the part that I break up from the bean.
Wow, that guy one is still piping hot. It's actually a little hot to smell still, but I've got some straw, definitely some barnyard. It's a pretty young Shen, so expect a little bit of an animal kind of aroma. All right, cheers.
Try it out.
For a 16, it's pretty, it's very smooth.
So this one doesn't come from a single region or a single tour. It's in Monghai area. What they were doing this is they have a recipe developed in 2006. So it's like 10 years of this recipe trying to, what they're doing is similar to blend, but they're taking advantage of some locations that are stronger in mouthfeel. Some of the terroir has better aroma. It's kind of trying to take advantage of what's the best in different regions and make a nice sip of it. So when you're having this young tea, it's not so undrinkable.
Yeah, I think they've succeeded. It's got nice elements of.
I actually feel a little bit like a date.
Yeah, there's a little. I don't want to call it sweetness, but there is a like a hint of future sweetness, almost in the mixed in with hay and sort of barnyard tones. Is this sort of sweet hay, but with some date.
Not too smoky.
No, not overly smoky at all, but more, especially in the aroma. I don't have any smoke in the aroma, and maybe a little bit mixed in with that barnyard flavor.
For me, it's afterwards. Like after I swallow it and breathe out through the nose, I have a little bit of that cigarette. Not quite smoky, just a hint
tobacco-y,
of that.
almost like wet tobacco or raw tobacco.
That's right. And this is the first infusion.
Wow, that was a really delicious first infusion.
I wouldn't expect too much from the 2016 to be like that.
Yeah, they've done a good job.
Yeah.
As an engineered pu'er, they've really, they're onto something, I think.
But you still have that sharpness
That
of the raw pu'er, especially when you smell the leaves. It really reminds you the age of this tea, which is young. Yeah.
You have that tobacco on the leaf too. A bit of tobacco and a stronger barnyard, more like a wet stable, which I know is quite unappealing to the sound, but that is the wet leaf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's pretty lingering.
Yep.
Smell.
A bit of that date hint in the empty serving pot.
Right. Let's try the second infusion.
Let's do it. All right, let's try the second infusion. Looking forward to this. Grab that for you.
It's pretty soupy, huh? The liquor I poured, I feel like it's pretty thick. So you might have noticed that when I brew, I didn't measure too much about how much the leaf is or what's the water temperature. So just to give you a kind of a what's going on here is when we taste tea, we use boiling water. The water we use is Brita filtered. Pretty, not quite like a distill level, but pretty clean.
Yeah, it's just filtered tap water.
Exactly. And I break up a chunk from the cake, and based on the leaf amount, I kind of decide how fast the infusion is, and make sure it's not too strong, and make sure it's not too weak. Really soft, really like a romantic kind of a Sheng Pu'er.
Yeah. Yeah, as Jen was saying, we use just a filtered tap water for tasting because we want our tasting notes to have sort of a neutral and a common baseline. But I would love to try this with our the Wakefield spring water that we have. It does really well with pu'er in general, and I think with this one it would be really delightful. But again, for our tasting notes, we got to have kind of an even baseline, so all the teas have the same base, and it's still really performing wonderfully.
I like the sweetness that come up after the taste, right? It's coated in my mouth. I really like that.
Yeah. And it's not drying. A lot of, or sometimes a Sheng Pu'er will give you a bit of an astringency or a drying mouthfeel. This one is really very refreshing. I would love this as a morning tea. This would work well for me in the morning.
And when we taste tea, we suggest people to taste that like how you taste wines or whiskey. Like, give it a sip, give it lots of oxygen, and let it sit in your mouth.
Yeah, lots of oxygen means slurp it, or
slurp
do
it.
whatever you need to do to kind of aerate that in your mouth.
Yes, and let it sit in your mouth. And as you breathe in and breathe out, you will see the different levels, different profiles.
Yeah. It took me a while to get used to that technique of just letting the tea sit in your mouth, aerate the tea, let it sit in your mouth, especially breathing in and you get a kind of a new or a second part of your sensory experience will engage when you breathe in with that, like not with the liquor but over the liquor kind of thing. Give it a shot. It's really it's enlightening.
So this is the third infusion.
Yeah, still a nice rich gold liquor color.
It's really sweet but delicate with a little bit like a floral.
Yeah.
Really subtle. Even the
I
whole
see what you
aroma
mean,
is really
like a hay, but
toned
with
down.
some wildflower or something. Just a little hint.
Yes. Like a fresh kind of a wildflower, not those sweet ones.
So all the material is from the Munghai region? Okay, and they kind of take the raw material, or probably the Mao Cha. Do they blend the Mao Cha to make this cake? Like, how does that work?
Yes.
Okay. Because they've really done a great job. Like, I love this idea of sort of engineering a delicious drink of tea. Rather than just going with straight material, you know.
Or just because of the fan of the region or stuff like that. I think
That's really what tea is about, right?
Right, what tastes good.
Mm-hmm. Now, how do you think this will age?
I don't know.
Okay. Wait and see.
Here's the thing, like, I feel like when it's a really delicious cup of tea, when it aged properly, which means it's not excessive, heat and excessive humidity,
Not pushed.
Usually it will age not too disappointing with the pu'er tea. That's what I find. But since it tastes so good, I would just drink it as it aged. I wouldn't like to stock it. I didn't feel like this tea is like extra precious that I want to let it sit. 2 reasons I want to age a tea. One is not so drinkable at this moment. Let it sit. And second is, for some reason, it's an extraordinary material that is rare to find and get even less seen in the future. So I might.
Basically known to age well, you probably will age that if it's some sort of famous. Yeah, good.
I'm a practical kind of a person.
Makes sense.
I don't think I would buy something just for age. I like something.
4 or 5 now?
This is the 4th.
This is 4, okay. 4th infusion.
4th or 5th?
I'm not sure.
We'll watch that and see.
Yeah, you guys probably know better than us.
Yep.
So the different material types basically just come from different gardens or like different micro-regions in Munghai?
Yeah, micro-regions in Munghai.
Okay.
Yeah.
So varying altitudes or just basically different farms?
Different farms, different regions, like a micro region, whichever word you use, I think was perfect for that.
Okay.
And the altitude in general is pretty high there. So.
Okay.
So we had 6 infusions of this tea. I think this tea can go much longer than that.
Yeah, still going strong.
With a good amount of leaves that we put there. So what we're going to do is to do the write-up, write down all the notes, tasting notes we had from this tea, and keep enjoying that. And by the time we finish this tea, sometimes we will have extra, like, tasting notes that we want to add there.
Yeah, we might put in something about the tail, how the tea finishes, how it performs in later infusions.
So if you're interested to see the full description of this, you check out the links below.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, let's move on to the next tea.
Yes, I'm excited. Our next tea in line is a 2006 Shu Pu'er. I really love Shu Pu'er. Just the flavor, the sweetness of a good Shu Pu'er. I'm looking forward to trying this one. For me,
11 years old.
11 years old, yeah, 2006. So should be really delicious. And I'm looking forward to finding another tea that I can have before I go to bed. For me, Shu Pu'er works really well as an evening tea. I'm a little bit sensitive to caffeine, and by a little bit I mean I stare at the ceiling all night long. If I have like oolong or green tea or even black tea before bed, often I'll have not a really great sleep. But with Shu Pu'er, I'm able to enjoy that in the evening.
So I'm just rinsing everything.
That's nice. So, yeah, I really like that. Pretty contained, actually. It's not jumping out of the dry leaf yet. Looking forward to tasting that. Recently, I was...
It's a little bit woody though.
Woody, yeah. Yeah, I usually get a little more sweetness. I'm looking forward to seeing. Sometimes that's a good sign when the aroma doesn't come out of the dry leaf too much. It means there's lots of power in the leaf, well processed. So, looking forward to that. So if you have I'd be curious to know if you guys have evening teas that you go to. Is Shu Pu'er one of your preferred evening teas, or do you have other teas, or are teas out of limits after 5 p.m. or some other magic time for you? Yeah, let me know. I'd be curious to see how you guys interact with tea in the evening.
I heard lots of people like Shu Pu'er before bed. It also settles the tummy a bit, like after supper.
Yeah, very good after a big, heavy meal. So I'm going to be, as we taste this tea, we're both going to be paying attention to the various tasting notes and flavors because, as we said earlier, we're doing the write-ups for these teas. They're going straight up onto our website. And it's always an interesting job for me because I can only really express the way the tea comes through to me. And sometimes I'll grab some of Jen's notes and integrate those.
I just contribute a little bit, not too much, because my style to describe tea is totally different than describing the tasting.
Yeah,
the flavor.
Westerners tend to be focused on flavor profile notes. You know, if you've seen the tasting wheel, you'll know what I mean. Those kind of elements. The Chinese have a really quite a different approach to describing flavor of tea. But we'll try and put both of those together into some kind of to give you guys some kind of a sense of what you're getting into.
That's right. And also like how we brew affects the taste as well. That's why when we do the tastings or when we even do the video, I kind of tell you what water we use and what's the method I brew, which doesn't include much of a scientific measurement.
Yeah.
Again, you could probably notice that I keep checking on the liquor color. That's how I know it's about the time I should let the guy one dream or.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to talk about in terms of brewing technique. I think sometimes the quote unquote less scientific method can actually be more deterministic. If you talk about an amount of leaf in grams and a water temperature and a time just set like that, you're not taking into account your vessel size and other parameters. Whereas when you use liquor color, you're really shooting.
And the tea, right? Because different tea, even though it's say for Shu Pu'er, different Shu Pu'er still have different profiles and different requests for brewing.
Oh, I just got to shoot out that this has a really nice aroma. Sort
Not
of like
whiskey.
An anise, yeah, like almost a straight, like that kind of tingling sensation, like a whiskey or an anise, like a black licorice smell with wood and leather.
I think that's why we paired Shu Pu'er with
Lafroig, yeah, we did it. Yeah.
It does have that peated, a little bit dry peated kind of a element in there.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I really like this. Plenty of date.
I actually thought of ice cream or freezer. Not because it's sweet, it's because that the ice layer on the ice cream, that's special.
The crystals?
Yeah, that's a special, not even a flavor, it's something,
the
you
texture?
know, the texture that, something special about that. If you have the really frosted ice cream, you know what I mean? It's independent from
Is
which
it the nitrogen-y flavor that?
Yes,
yeah.
yes, nitrogen. Oh, okay.
I don't know if that's really the chemical, but that's always made me think of that when I have those frosty ice creams.
Nitrogen. Oh, it's just that like the effect of that the frost on ice cream that I was thinking.
Oh wow. This is a wow tea for me. I really like this.
It has a little bit of like a Chinese herb. It has a herb medicine-ish.
I'm getting a lot of like a really like a thick rich date. Not the sweetness, but the flavor. We make a morning drink sometime with dates, a date tea, and it has that flavor without all the sweetness and thickness. The mouthfeel is thick and silky. Oh yeah.
Check in the liquor color.
Nice. And really long lingering. I've got a really.
Yeah, it stays there.
Yeah, I'm sitting here and breathing out, and I get more of that sweet, woody, rich date. I get what you mean by the medicine. It's not an unpleasant medicinal, but an herbal mixed with the date.
Yeah. That's the taste of the age. Like you cannot fake that easily. Just to be precise.
Yeah.
smell is really subtle.
Yeah, and this is really consistent. This is the second infusion.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this is gonna go into my evening lineup for sure.
It's like it's full of flavors. It's just not those single flavor that is
Yeah.
easily picked out.
Yeah.
And it's soothing.
Yeah.
It's really soothing.
Yeah, really integrated, warming, and the mouthfeel for me is what sets it apart. This is great material, really great tea. The flavors are all there, everything you could want in a flavor profile is there, but then on top of that, you've got that lingering, full throat mouthfeel. All right, smooth, and I have flavor all the way back. Yeah.
It's like those. I kind of understand why people feel that warmth of tea when you have it. It's not just the temperature warm, but it actually warms the inside out, kind of thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I think I have a new favorite. Wow.
Try the third infusion.
Oh, these ones are so fun to write up. Sometimes they're tricky because, as Jem was saying, the flavors they sometimes don't jump out in a really good tea. It's sometimes really hard to put your finger on them. I think I've got enough from this. We've got a bit of herb, a bit of what do we want to call it? Like for me, I had a little hint of anise / whiskey, sort of wood and leather are there, but mildly, yeah. Check the link down below, see what ended up coming out.
Yeah, when I first smell it, I thought of that peated whiskey flavor, but as I taste it and all through it, there wasn't something like that.
Yeah, I didn't get that. I got the herb though, the sort of the herbalness, the herb, like the Chinese herb aspect. But it's, for me, that comes quite late in the sip.
Yeah, this is
Nice. I've got a little bit of that herb on the nose here, on the liquor.
really luscious liquor.
Yeah. Feel like it's turning a corner here on the third infusion. Now, all of those flavors that used to be really present are really, really integrated now into.
I really would suggest this tea to try with the Freud.
The Freud?
The Freud. I hate that word. La what?
Oh, good lord, I don't think I'm even saying
La
it properly.
Freud.
Lefroy is how
La
I say it. I
Freud.
don't know. But let us know how we should be pronouncing this down below. It's really tricky. It's a Scotch, right? Scotches all have these incredibly complicated names to pronounce.
I just said I tasted. I thought of those peated whiskey. Then it didn't exist later. Then I have this sip, the third infusion. The first two sips that I have, again reminds me when the whiskey sits in my mouth, how it works in my mouth. That kind of. Not sharp, but it has the impact. A strong impact on me. Not because it's a strong, more sharp. It's just because that.
It's like more of a powerful.
Exactly.
A powerfulness.
I've
got pears in the bottom.
What?
Yeah. Really interesting. That's what I got later in the bottom of the cup. It became the same as that once it cooled. Yeah, I don't even want to tell you what that smells like.
Oh, this smells good. This is good. What is that? Animal?
Porta potty.
Porta potty.
That's nasty, but Oh, that's wonderful though.
Yeah, that is really good.
Back to the
wood-
whiskey.
Yeah, and
right?
that woody, that comfortable, comfortable woodiness.
Yeah, like a hardwood forest after a heavy rain.
Yes.
You know, a bunch of really thick layer of wet leaf on the ground and the wet wood and the all around you.
Yeah, yeah.
That's divine. Yeah. Check that out. Softening up now. So that about wraps up this Shu Pu'er. I love this tea. It's going to be one of my new favorites. We're doing the 5th infusion now. We tasted 4 full infusions. We're going to continue to enjoy it as we do the write-up. And check the link down below to see how that turned out. All right, so those were 2 delicious Pu'er teas that we just tasted, a Shen and a Shu. We wanted to share with you how we taste the tea, but also how we get from the tasting to writing the tasting notes. To see the results of that, check the links down below. As I said, it's always a kind of a personal thing, but we do our best. Check that out.
Yeah, if you like this video, please give up a like. And the reason we're doing these videos is actually the same reason why we become tea vendors. We want to bring you not only the tasting great Chinese tea, but also those information so that you can find great quality teas on your own.
That's right. And if you happen to be in the Philly area, we're doing a live event in Philly where we can taste tea together. You can ask us questions. It's going to be fantastic. It is the first Talking Tea live event. Again, all the information is down below. We hope you enjoyed this video. We hope to see you if you're in the Philly area. And until next time, bye-bye.
I want some more tea. Make me want to pee. Hope it helps my knee.
Oh, because my knee hurts.